Good early evening, everyone. Welcome to the All Things Carolina Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie G. And on tonight's episode of Looking into the Future, we'll bring you the latest on the North Carolina Tar Heels football offense, including the new additions of offensive coordinator Chip Lindsay, as well as offensive line coach Randy Clement. We'll talk about how these additions will help the offense, as well as the departure of offensive coordinator Phil Longo. So we'll bring you everything you need to know right here, so stay tuned. So as I mentioned earlier about the departure of offensive coordinator Phil Longo to Wisconsin, we all know Phil Longo to have been a very focused offensive coordinator, whether it's been very attacking, go towards the goal, risk taker, going for it a lot on fourth downs, also part of head coach Mac Brown's decision. Last year, it just did not work as the Tar Heels needed it to, as it was putting a lot of pressure under freshman quarterback Drake Maye, a redshirt freshman. He was having to use his legs a lot, whether it's running, throwing, scrambling out of the pocket. Drake Maye is an amazing runner, but we need to expand to new limits and check out new options as if you're for the Tar Heel football team. So we're looking to see if offensive coordinator Chip Lindsay and offensive line coach Randy Clement, the line of the North Carolina Tar Heels has also not been very consistent, as we need Drake Maye to have, in order for Phil Longo's plan to work as the offensive coordinator, we need these offensive linemen to be able to give Drake Maye as much time in the pocket as possible, and that just was not working as we wanted it to last year. So we're hoping that these new additions to the coaching staff here at the North Carolina football team will add some new options and help the team to put less pressure on Drake Maye and use his arm more. Also, we don't want to increase injuries. This could be Drake Maye's last year as a Tar Heel, rumored, and we do not want this last year to be what he's not capable of doing, because Drake Maye is a very talented quarterback. You know, we've had Sam Howell in the past. I think most Tar Heels fans do think Drake Maye is a better quarterback, so we don't want Drake Maye to be, if he does go to the NFL, we don't want him to be under prospect, as he is a very good quarterback, and we just need the good offensive line and the good team to help him with that. So let's see what we go to this upcoming season for the Tar Heels. Another reason, too, why the North Carolina Tar Heels kind of fell apart at the end of the 2022 season was because of Phil Longo's offensive plan and his layout. We know the offense just relied too much on Drake Maye, and that is another reason why the North Carolina Tar Heels did not do that well. They were at some points they were not a top 25 ranked team, and you know the Tar Heels in almost basketball and football to be some of the best top 25 teams, and it just did not work out that way last year. So we think that the North Carolina Tar Heels, if we rely a little bit less on Drake Maye, use these receivers, tight ends, running backs to our advantages, that we can hopefully be top 25 next year. Chip Lindsay, also a very good coordinator when it comes to running the football. I mean, as we know, the Tar Heels last season were just horrible running in the red zone, a terrible red zone touchdown percentage. For example, at the ACC championship game, getting blown out by Clemson. It was just a horrible game to watch, as the Tar Heels in the red zone just did not look like a football team. We hope, and that's just part of the reason. I mean, the Tar Heels were a top 25 offensive team, and then when it comes to the run game, they're 60 in the nation. It's just none of that was helping the team, and we hope that Chip Lindsay can help expand the variety of plays we have, whether compared to Phil Longo when he just had almost that same type of offensive approach to every game, and it got very recognizable. So we'll see what happens next season. Drake Maye cannot lead this team in rushing yards. This makes him less successful, as he cannot throw the ball and run the ball all by himself. We need to expand the options here at North Carolina, and I think Chip Lindsay will definitely help out, as I mentioned earlier. So we're hoping that Lindsay will expand these options and take a step in a different direction compared to Phil Longo. Another part of these rushing issues and running back issues for the Tar Heels last year were these running backs not being reliable and getting hurt just too often. Elijah Green and Caleb Hood. Elijah, he was just getting hurt for a lot of the season, and that we have two freshman running backs in, and they look like freshmen. Doesn't mean they won't be great players, but we just needed them to step up, and that just wasn't happening. And then Caleb Hood, he's questionable leading up to the game, gets ruled out a lot of the games, and then puts, as I said, mentioned a lot, putting more pressure on Drake Maye. That's just not what we wanted to see. So we're hoping that these running backs will get stronger and not get injured as much. Also, British Brooks missing nearly the whole season, with an knee injury out of training camp. He's our main running back, and it just, after that happens, you really need guys to step up, and that just didn't happen, which is a big part of why the Tar Heels could not convert in the red zone, and were very lacking on many rushing yards that were failed to be converted by other players. It was not possible for these running backs to win a game last year if they had to in low time. A big part of that too is the offensive line. I mean, there's so much talent elsewhere on the team that the offensive line was almost unrecognized and had no attention. We need this helps protect the quarterback like Drake, and these running backs could not do anything. I'm not blaming the offensive line for this. I'm just saying that you need an offensive line, and you need to recognize them in order to have a good team and use these running backs to your advantages. These running backs also could not play as receiver backs well. They're undersized, and I think that right now who we're waiting to see, the number one, is just British Brooks. He looks like an every down running back, and he just looks like he is the best option right now for the Tar Heels. He looks very consistent and reliable, but we just have to see. It just seems like every week there's some sort of new injury coming for these running backs, and we just don't know if these will be consistent injuries or when we can see more action of all these players and determine which one can be an any down running back. Obviously, the Tar Heels losing Josh Downs last year, pretty much their number one wide receiver. I'm looking out to see Tez Walker. He looks like he looks pretty much developed like a wide receiver. I just think he and Drake Maye are going to be super unstoppable, and hopefully they are good pair together on this team. And obviously, the Tar Heels have not really. Also, the team just has not been too consistent in any spot. We just, besides quarterback, Sam Howell, Drake Maye, you need some guys that you can rely on whenever you need to in this late game situations. And that's what I'm hoping for in Tez Walker, as he and Drake Maye, I hope they look very good, and Tez Walker looks very good, and I think Drake Maye and Tez Walker should be a very good match for this team. So we'll see how he turns out. By what people are hearing from people, I think he should be the number one guy, and he should be North Carolina's wide receiver for the 2023 season. I'd like to talk about these tight ends, offensive line, as well as the coaching perspective. So obviously, tight ends, we know Bryson Nesbit is a very good, reliable player in the 10-yard radius in the red zone. He has a pretty good connection with quarterback Drake Maye, and he overall has helped out a lot in putting points on the board. Secondly, the offensive line. This is a tough one, as these coaches see everything that these offensive line, the best places they fit as they can. It just all balances out with the quarterback and the running backs, as well as how these tight ends also help block, these ends block. So, and third of all, I think these coaching perspectives, obviously the coaches are the ones that see these players in practice at camps, and they think they know best of, if fans specifically want some players to play, come from different teams, join the Carolina football team. It's just what the coaches think best, as they want to help out the team the best they can, so the fans will stay happy. So I think relating back to the offensive line, it's really up to the coaching perspectives as they once again see what happens in practice and see what happens in camps and first viewing players. So I think it's up to all this is mainly coaches, and I think the tight ends, the coaches, the new coaches, Randy Clement and Lindsay will definitely help the team out, and we'll just have to see how the offensive line and some new tight ends work for the next year. We hope you enjoyed this Looking into the Future edition episode of All Things Carolina Sports. I'm yours, Charlie G. Have a good day, and we'll see you on the next episode.